Well, the first time I heard of KSdigital speakers was from a mastering engineer, actually, and I thought this is a pretty good recommendation, a pretty good place to start, because we all know the kind of quality and the kind of precision that mastering engineers demand for their speakers. And the reasons why I then chose KSdigital monitors for my new studio in the Canary Islands, which is this place called Ocean Spiral Studio, and I chose the lovely D80s that you can see back here, well, it's not one reason, it's four reasons, actually. The first is the sound, just the overall sound. In the 80s, I used to work quite a lot with tannoy speakers. And although I wasn't, really completely happy back then with the response in the low mids and the confidence in the low end of those speakers, I always loved the fact that they were coaxial speakers and that you could really pinpoint stuff in the stereo field, the width of the image, the depth of field. That was very satisfying to me, and the fact that I could find this in a new, modern type of monitors, used in perhaps even a better or just more innovative way, and joined also with a horn tweeter waveguide, as here, a metal horn tweeter waveguide, was something that I really liked. Then these speakers use a carbon fiber woofer, and it packs a real punch. Everyone who comes to this control room, and this surprised me a lot, starts looking for the subwoofer. They say, "Where's the subwoofer?" and start looking under the desk. But there is no subwoofer. These speakers just extend so low and have such a tight and controlled low end that it fools you into thinking that you feel a subwoofer. Actually, if you look at the way the loudspeaker moves, perhaps against the light or against the sunlight in this lovely ocean view control room, you can actually see the way the woofer is moving, and it's quite dramatic. It reminds me of something that I liked of some old Genelec main monitors. I think it was the big 1034s or 1035s. Before they went to the rubber suspension of the cone, they used this hard paper, hard cardboard suspension, and I always thought that this gave the speaker a lot more dampening, and the way it moved was tighter, more controlled. It had more of a rock and roll punch, so to speak, and that's something that's pretty important to me. The second reason is, as I already mentioned, the precision, and I don't mean only the coaxial precision of stereo panning, of depth of field, of reverbs and details, but also the precision in the way these speakers tend to disappear when you listen to well-recorded and well-mixed music. Put on a CD that's world-class, be it classical music or rock and roll, you don't think about these speakers anymore. They just disappear into the music. But put on something that has problems, for example, in the low mids, some muddiness in the low mid-range in the guitars or in the drums, or something that has even a tiny hint of transient distortion in the high end, any kind of strange noises and sounds that shouldn't be there. These speakers really point that out and poke it, well, not in your eye, but in your ear, actually. And I think that's very precious. It's a very good characteristic, both for tracking and for mixing. The third reason is, well, let's call it the rock and roll factor. I already mentioned the carbon fiber woofer and the low end response. I've been to many control rooms and I've worked in many control rooms where perhaps the sweet spot in between the monitors in front of the console or in front of the computer was maybe quite satisfying or quite okay for me or for the engineer. But for the rest of the artists and the people standing in the control room or sitting in the back couch of the control room, it was a very frustrating experience. It didn't sort of make them feel the music. Sometimes you have somebody overdubbing guitar in your control room and the artist wants to feel some kind of power, some kind of excitement from the speakers. And speakers that only deliver that in a very tight spot are not very satisfying for an artist. It's hard to enjoy your music when you're flooded with strange bass frequencies or it sounds veiled or far away or not in focus. These speakers deliver that. They are very rock and roll speakers, and I don't mean to say that you can only do rock and roll on them, but I do mean to say that if you are doing rock and roll, they will rock and they will roll, and they will let your artists also enjoy the music as much as you do in front of the speakers in the sweet spot, which in this case is very wide. And again, I think that this is very important. And the fourth factor is, of course, the price. I mean, I think that in this price range and for this kind of price, the quality ratio is amazing. These speakers have a lot of high technology in them, and the way they are built, the way they are marketed is just, to me, really amazing. It was something that convinced me straight away. I have to say that I want to thank KSdigital for also sending me their lovely little controller, which I would love to have here in my control room, and that helped me set up the speakers. Not that they needed much setup, but just some small, really tiny EQ moves to tailor them completely and absolutely to my taste. And I find that that's a really amazing and good quality box that would be fine in any studio. But in any case, maybe people don't know enough about KSdigital, and I've seen the price-quality ratio be very good across their range, also on other monitors. And as far as I go, from here, from Ocean Spiral Studios in the Canary Islands, I have no trouble at all in recommending them really highly.